Assalamu alaikum. I am Shoaib Muhammad, lecturer in the Department of Pharmaceutics, Faculty of Pharmacy, University of Sindh. In this lecture, we will be discussing about the ophthalmic preparations. The material for this chapter has been taken from the pharmaceutical dosage forms by Ansel. This is the outline of the current lecture. In this, we will be first having the introduction of the ophthalmic preparations. Then we will be discussing in detail about the ophthalmic solutions, ophthalmic suspensions, ophthalmic ointments, ocular inserts, and the contact lenses. So firstly, the introduction of the ophthalmic preparations. The ophthalmic preparations are specialized dosage forms designed to be instilled into the external surface of the eye, like different types of the topical preparations. We might use the eye drops to produce effect topically, and we might use the ointments that also produce the effect topically. And sometimes we administer the drug inside of the eye, like the intraocular, or adjacent to the eye, like the periocular, such as the juxtascleral or subtenon, in which the drug is administered through a device like the injection. With the help of the injection, the drug will be administered into the internal parts of the eye. The ophthalmic preparations should be sterile products. That means they should be free from the microorganisms, as well as they should be free from the toxic substances like the pyrogens of the microorganisms, and they are packaged in such a way or compounded in such a way that they should be easily instilled into the eye or placed inside the eye. The ophthalmic preparations should be free from the foreign particles as well, because any kind of the particle that is present into the preparation will cause irritation and itching into the eye. The ophthalmic formulation should not contain any kind of the coloring substance, and that means they should be colorless. There is no need of the addition of the colored compounds into the ophthalmic preparations, because that may cause any problem into the eye, and there is no need of this such kind of the elegance for the ophthalmic preparations. They should be non-irritant, should not irritate the eye, and they should be isotonic with the eye fluids, as well as their pH should also be similar to the lacrimal fluids, that is the 7.4. The ophthalmic preparation should also be free from the microorganisms, and to control the growth of the microorganism, or to stop the growth of the microorganisms, sometimes the antimicrobial agents are also required if the preparation is to be a multi-dose container. We can prepare the ophthalmic preparations in the form of the solutions. We can go for the suspensions, ointments, emulsions. We can go for even the solid dosage forms, and certain gel forming solutions are also available. Like the timolol maleate is a drug that is used in the treatment of the glaucoma and hypertension. In the glaucoma, due to the increased pressure into the eye, there is damage, there is chance for the damage to the optic nerve, and eventually the person may lose the eyesight. In timolol maleate preparations, xanthangum is used as a gel forming substance, and this is a very effective preparation. If we look into the history of the ophthalmic preparations, the Greeks and the first used the ophthalmic preparations, and the preparation used at that time was the colaria. The colaria contained water, milk water, or egg white, and was used in the form of the eye drops, and it was used for the cleansing of the eye or cleansing of the diseased eye. Later on, belladonna, a mydriatic agent, mydriatic means a substance that is causing the dilation of the pupil of eye, was used as a cosmetic agent, and it dilated the pupil of the eye, and that substance was also used into the colaria for the beautification of the eye, because it caused the dilation of the pupil of the eye. The eyes looked big, and at that time that was used as a cosmetic agent or the beautifying agent. Here is the list of the dosage forms or the formulations in which the ophthalmic preparations can be made. These include the ophthalmic solutions, ophthalmic suspensions, ophthalmic ointments, ophthalmic emulsions, ophthalmic or ocular inserts, and the contact lenses. We will discuss the details of these different types of the preparations into the coming slides. Firstly, the ophthalmic solutions. The United States Pharmacopoeia describes 59 ophthalmic solutions. There are 59 ophthalmic solutions that have been defined into the United States Pharmacopoeia, that how they will be used or how they will be prepared. Though the ophthalmic solutions are will be very easy to be prepared, but they have the disadvantage of very less retention. They are retained into the eye for a very less period of time because they are solutions are at the molecular level, so they will move out of the eye in a very short period of time. So as a result, the contact period of the drug will also be less. So if the contact period of the drug with the eye is very less, the effect of the drug will also be less. The problem of the less retention time can be overcome by some extent by addition of the viscosity attributors, are substances which increase the viscosity of the preparations like the methyl cellulose. So as a result of addition of the methyl cellulose, the viscosity or the thickness of the preparation will be increased. As a result, the thickness will be retained into the eye for more period of time, and the drug will produce its effects for longer period of time. The viscosity of 15 centipoise is considered optimum. We cannot increase the viscosity of the preparation for more than 15 centipoise, because at more than 15 centipoise, there will be visual discomfort. The patient will be having problem into the eyesight. So the level of the 15 centipoise viscosity is optimum, at which there will be sufficient retention of the drug and there will be no hindrance into the eyesight of the patient. As with the other ophthalmic preparations, the ophthalmic solutions should also be sterile. They should be free from the microorganisms and the pyrogens and the toxic substances of the microorganisms. Their pH should be maintained at 7.4, that is the pH of the lacrimal fluids, and they should also be free from the foreign particles to avoid the irritation of the eye. As earlier discussed about the ophthalmic solutions, as the sterility is a basic component of these type of the preparations, so the ophthalmic solutions can be sterilized by autoclaving, or we may use the preservatives if the preparation is a multi-dose container. If it is a single dose container, the drug or the dose that is present into the container is required to be used for one time. You can go for the sterilization by the autoclaving. But if the drug has to be used for a longer period of time and it is a multi-dose container, we can go for the preservatives. The different types of the preservatives that can be used into the ophthalmic solutions include the phenyl ethyl alcohol into the concentration of 0.5%, chlorobutanol in the concentration of 0.5% as well, and benz aluminum chloride in the concentration of 0.01%. Of course, we have also to maintain the isotonicity of the ophthalmic solutions, and it can be maintained with the addition of the sodium chloride or the boric acid. If it is required to be maintaining the pH of the uh, preparation, we can also use the buffer for maintaining the pH of the preparation. Next are the ophthalmic suspensions. The United States Pharmacopoeia 23 describes the 29 ophthalmic suspensions. There are 29 ophthalmic suspensions present or described into the United States Pharmacopoeia. The one of the advantage of the ophthalmic preparations is that they have longer contact time as compared to the ophthalmic solutions, because the drug is present into the large form of the large particles that are to be dissolved by the time, and because of that the effect stays for a longer period of time. if we control the particle size up to 10 micron, we can control the solubility rate as well. But if the particle size is more than 10 micron, it may cause itching to the eye. If we are making the aqueous ophthalmic suspensions, the parameter of intrinsic solubility and dissolution rate must be considered. The intrinsic solubility will determine the amount of the drug that will act into the solution and available for the absorption upon the instillation into the eye. So one drug will be present into the suspended particles and the other drug will be present into the saturated form into the solution. So the drug which is present into the saturated form into the solution will actually act, and the drug will in the form of the suspended particles will act after some time. So if we want the effect into the eye, the initially the effect will be produced of the drug that is present into the solution form into the solution, okay, and it should be present over there to produce the effect. As the intrinsic solubility of the drug increases, the concentration of the drug into the saturation solution surrounding the drug particles will also increase. So as the drug will be coming out of the suspended particles into the solution form, it will, and more the drug will be coming, more and more effect will be produced. Though the ophthalmic suspensions have more retention time as compared to the solutions, there are two major problems with the ophthalmic solution. Number one, that these require shaking before use. If we are not shaking the formulation, the particles will settle down, and of course there will be no uniformity in the presence of the drug into the formulation. The second problem is the phenomenon of the polymorphism. Now, because of the long standing, there are chances that the particles will be available into their various crystalline forms. Some particles will form the larger crystals and some will be having the smaller crystals, and of course there will be variability into the solubility of those uh, different sized crystals, and eventually the bioavailability of the drug will be different. So there may be a change into the production of the effect of the drug. So the polymorphism of the particles should also be controlled. If they are of uniform size, there is no polymorphism, we will achieve proper solubility of the drug, and eventually the targeted effect of the drug will also be achieved. The other properties that are required by the ophthalmic preparations are similarly the sterilization. These preparations should also be sterilized. They should be isotonic, which can be made with the boric acid or the sodium chloride. They should be colorless and also non-irritant, as earlier discussed. If the particle size of the suspended drug is about 10 micron, it will be non-irritant to the eye, and these particles should not be more than the 10 micron. These products should not be frozen, and they should be stored at room temperature of about 25 degrees centigrade. Because of the freezing, there will be changes into the formulation, and segregation may occur. Next, we have the ophthalmic ointments. The United States Pharmacopoeia describes 58 ophthalmic ointments. The ophthalmic ointments have the advantage that they have the larger contact time because of their thickness. The viscosity of the ophthalmic ointments is very higher, and because of that, there is more contact time of the drug with the eye, and there is more bioavailability of the drug, and more effects are produced. But of course, because of this increased thickness and viscosity of the preparations, the patient might have the problems into the vision. The patient might not have clear vision, and because of this problem, the ophthalmic ointments are limited to the bedtime or at the night time. During the formulation of the preparations, the drug is added into the solution form. The drug is first dissolved into a vehicle, and it is into the micronized powder form, and then it is added to the base. The bases that are used into the ophthalmic ointments include the white petrolatum, and mineral oil is often used with the anhydrous lanolin. All the ingredients of the ophthalmic ointments should be sterilized. They should be free from the microorganisms. Even that if they are sterilized, the final preparation should also go for the sterility test to verify that the final product is free from the microorganisms. And we can also use the suitable preservatives if it is a multi-dose container. Of course, most of the ophthalmic preparations are the multi-dose containers. The patient has to take the preparation from maybe a jar, or most suitable container will be the collapsible tubes, and there are chances of the microorganisms in the ophthalmic ointments, as we have earlier discussed into the past lectures, that we have to guide the patient that how to use the ophthalmic ointments. We will ask the patient to make a pocket into the eye, into the lower lid of the eye, and put a ribbon of the ointment into that pocket of the eye, and close the pocket, and the drug will show its effect. Then we have the ophthalmic emulsions. These should be preparations should be anionic, and mostly castor oil is used as a vehicle in these type of the preparations. Similar to the ophthalmic ointments, suspensions, and the solutions, these products should also be sterilized and isotonic. Its isotonicity should be maintained. Their particle size should also be well under controlled limits for better formulation. Next, we have the ophthalmic or the ocular inserts. These preparations are oval shaped and flexible like the contact lenses that are applied beneath the eyelid. Now, in this, the drug is formulated as a sandwich and drug in the form of a matrix. Now, there is a central layer of the drug, and from an upper and lower of the drug layer there is a polymeric material, and the drug between that polymeric material into the matrix form. As we have discussed into the transdermal page system, that there were crystals of the drugs and there were molecules of the drugs. The molecules were absorbed into the skin, and more molecules were coming from the crystals of the drug. So the drug molecules will be moving from the matrix and through the polymeric material layer, and they are absorbed into the eye. So as I have told you, there will be two layers of the polymeric material, an upper layer and a lower layer, and in between those two layers that the drug will be sandwiched. So that's why we are using the word sandwich. The this system holds the drug for a longer period of time. As we discussed into the page system, the drug will be released from the page system for a longer period of time. These formulations should also be sterilized, and the matrix must be removed after the release of the drug. Otherwise it will cause the irritation into the eye. Now, as discussed, the drug is present in the matrix form in between the two polymeric material layers, and drugs will be slowly absorbed into the eye. Now, eventually there will be a time that there will be no drug into the system. So after or when all of the drug has been absorbed into the eye, the remaining of the polymeric material that is not dissolvable, that is not absorbable, will be removed from the eye. As we discussed into the patch systems, when all of the drugs were absorbed into through the skin, through into the systemic circulation, we were removing the patch and applying a new patch. So similarly over here, when all of the drug will be absorbed from the patch system, we will remove the patch through from the ocular insert. We will remove the ocular insert, and for further effect of the drug, we will insert a new ocular insert. The first of the formulation that was developed into the form of the ocular insert was the pilocarpine, and it was approved in 1975. In that, the drug pilocarpine was sandwiched between the ethylene vinyl acetate, two layers of the ethylene vinyl acetate layers. Here on this slide, we have two diagrams. One shows how the ophthalmic inserts are designed, and the second shows how the ophthalmic inserts are administered into the patient. The diagram onto the right of the slide shows a drug reservoir that is in gray color, and the drug reservoir onto the upper and lower side of the drug reservoir there is a polymetric material that is also rate controlling. The drug will be sandwiched in between these two layers and will be slowly released from these two layers of the polymetric material and absorbed into the eye. The polymeric material and the drug will also be having a central ring structure, and it gives a proper shape to the insert, and because of that it will be easier to place inside the eye. The diagram onto the left of the slide shows how the inserts are placed into the eye. One thing should be noted that the inserts can be considered as solid dosage forms. The solutions, suspensions were the liquid dosage forms that were placed into the eye. The ointments were semi-solid dosage forms were placed into the eye, and the ophthalmic inserts are solid dosage forms that are placed into the eye. The next major category into the ophthalmic preparations are the contact lenses. The contact lenses are basically the solid dosage forms that are optical in nature and basically the therapeutical devices which improve the vision of the patient. They were first visualized by the Leonardo da Vinci in 1508, and he realized the vision power and corneal power, and he understood that how the lenses can effectively improve the vision of a person. In 1960, O. Vichatle and D. Lim firstly made the soft contact lenses by the use of the hydroxyethyl methacrylate, and the glass contact lenses were replaced by the plastic contact lenses. The contact lenses can be classified into the two major categories based on to their chemical composition and the physical properties. And the two major categories include the hard contact lenses and the soft contact lenses. The hard contact lenses can be further classified into the hard, rigid, hydrophobic contact lenses and the hard or rigid hydrophilic contact lenses. Similarly, the soft contact lenses can also be classified into the soft, flexible, hydrophilic contact lenses and soft or flexible hydrophobic contact lenses. If we go into the details of the hard contact lenses, the hard contact lenses have the advantage of the durability and strength. They are more stronger as compared to the soft contact lenses. And the other advantage of the hard contact lenses is their clear and crisp vision. They provide more clear vision as compared to the soft contact lenses. Their diameter is about 7 to 10 millimeter, and they are designed in such a way that they only cover the part of the eye. Now, in order that the lens should not rest onto the eye or should not be in direct contact with the corneal surface, and because of that the irritation might take place, the wetting solutions are used, and the wetting solution provide a cushioning layer between the corneal epithelium and the inner surface of the layer, and as a result of it, the irritation because of the resting of the lens onto the corneal epithelium is reduced. The hard contact lenses require greater adjustment, and they can be only worn up to 7 days for the comfort, while the soft contact lenses have the advantage that they can be worn up for a longer period of time. However, of course, they have the advantage that they provide superior visual activity as compared to the soft contact lenses. So, as discussed earlier, the hard contact lenses can be further classified into hard hydrophilic contact lenses and the hard hydrophobic contact lenses. The hard hydrophobic contact lenses are made up of rigid plastic resin, the polymethyl methacrylate. Practically, these are impermeable to oxygen as well as to the moisture. So these do not become moist, neither air penetrates through them. The hard hydrophilic contact lenses are made up of cellulose acetate butyrate and sometimes cellulose ethyl butyrate and silicon vinyl pyrrolidone. These type of the contact lenses have good water content and have good permeability to the gas, and their wettability is also good. Next we have the soft contact lenses. The soft contact lenses, as the name indicates, are soft, flexible and elastic in nature as compared to the hard contact lenses. These are not rigid in structure, and of course they are not durable. They are about 13 to 15 millimeter in diameter, much higher diameter as compared to the hard contact lenses, and because of that they cover entire cornea as well. Because they are of larger diameter and cover larger part of the cornea, so they less likely permit the foreign particles such as the microbes, dust, pollens and smoke particles onto the cornea. They are less durable as compared to the hard contact lenses, but of course because of their flexibility they can be easily fixed onto the eye. There are two general types of the soft contact lenses. One are the daily wear, which should be removed at the bedtime and when the person goes to sleep, and others are the extended wear that can last for 24 hours to the 30 days. So as discussed into the hard contact lenses, they can be maximally used for about 7 days, but over here the soft contact lenses can be used for about 30 days. Now, similar to the hard contact lenses, the soft contact lenses have also been classified based on their composition into two major categories. One is the soft hydrophilic contact lenses and the soft hydrophobic contact lenses. The soft or flexible hydrophilic contact lenses are made up of hydrophilic transparent plastic of the hydroxyethyl methacrylate. They contain about 30 to 80% of water, which enhances the wettability and as well as the gas permeability. The soft or flexible hydrophobic contact lenses, these are made of the silicon rubbers. They have good wettability and poor permeability. The silicon vinyl pyrrolidone contact lenses have good wettability and as well as good gas permeability. Next we have the contact lens care solutions. We have different types of the products for the maintenance of these devices that are used into the eye, and we have separate products for the soft contact lenses and for the hard contact lenses. The products for the soft contact lenses include the cleaners, rinsing and storage solutions, and disinfection and sterilizations. In the hard contact lenses, we have the cleaners, we have soaking and storage solution, and we have the wetting solutions. Soft contact lenses. Firstly, we have the cleaners. The cleaners may be the surfactants or maybe the enzymatic cleaners. The surfactants are basically ionic in nature. These surfactants basically emulsify the accumulated oils onto the contact lenses, lipids and inorganic compounds, and eventually clean the contact lenses with these kind of the substances. In the enzymatic cleaners, there is the breakdown of the proteins that accumulate onto the lenses. For this, we soak the lens into a solution that is prepared by an enzymatic tablet, and when the lens is placed into that solution of the tablet, the enzymes that are present into that tablet will destroy or we say the hydrolyze the proteins that are accumulated onto the lens. The tablets of the proteins may contain the papain, that is an enzyme, or pancreatin, or substilicin, which cause hydrolysis of proteins to peptides and the amino acids. The next are the rinsing and the storage solutions. The rinsing and storage solution basically they carry out the cleaning of the soft contact lenses, and that can be then stored at a proper place. These are mostly isotonic, and these are made isotonic by 0.9% sodium chloride. Besides the cleaning purpose, they also maintain the curvature of the soft contact lenses. They also maintain diameter and optical characteristics of the lens. They also facilitate the hydration and also prevent dryness and the brittleness of the soft contact lenses, and so that they can be used effectively for longer period of time. They may also contain the preservatives to stop the microbial growth, and eventually if the rinsing solutions have the microbes, the lenses will also carry the microbes, and which will may infect the eye. These may have also the stabilizers to maintain the pH of the formulation. The examples of the wetting agents that may be used include the polyvinyl chloride. Finally, in the products of soft contact lenses, we have the disinfection and neutralization products. These products clean the microbes or kill the microbes that are present onto the soft contact lenses. There may be two types of the methods adopted for the disinfection and the neutralization. Number one is the thermal disinfection, in which we carry out the heating of the contact lenses in a saline solution up to the temperature of 80 degrees centigrade for about 10 minutes. This process is carried out in a specialized unit, and after this process the soft contact lenses are cleansed from the microorganisms. The next method is the chemical disinfection, in which we are using the hydrogen peroxide for killing of the microorganisms. In this process, the free radicals that are released from the H2O2 will react with the cell wall of the microbes, and the bubbling action of the peroxide will remove the debris and of the cell walls, and the microbes will be killed. However, the presence of the hydrogen peroxide onto the soft contact lenses may be damaging to the eyes, and may cause problems into the eyes. So the residues of the hydrogen peroxide should also be removed. The residues of the hydrogen peroxide can be removed by three methods. Number one is the catalytic method, in which the lenses are exposed to enzyme catalase or platinum disc, which will remove the residues of the hydrogen peroxide. We can react the peroxide with the sodium pyruvate and thiosulfate. It will also neutralize the effects of the hydrogen peroxide. And then finally, we can go for the dilution elution method, in which the residual mixture in which the hydrogen peroxide has been used for the cleaning of the contact lenses is decreased or is diluted to decrease in the concentration, and eventually the effects of the hydrogen peroxide will be decreased. Finally, we have the products for the hard contact lenses. Three types of the products are used for maintenance of the hard contact lenses. Number one are the cleaners. For the hard contact lenses, they should be cleaned immediately after they have been used to clean off the deposit of the accumulated proteins, salts, cosmetics, tobacco smoke, and airborne contaminants. These are basically the non-ionic surfactants. Maybe the spons or the twins may be used as a cleaner for the hard contact lenses. Next, we have the soaking and storage solutions. Into the socket and storage solution, we place our soft contact lenses into these solutions for the proper storage of this the hard contact lenses. These are basically aqueous, and these are also isotonic and contain sufficient concentration of the preservatives to decrease the microbial growth. The preservatives used may be the benzalkonium chloride at a 0.01% concentration and editate sodium 0.01% concentration. Finally, we have the wetting solutions. The wetting solutions are basically used to give a cushioning effect, so that when contact lens is placed onto the cornea, it should not be in direct contact with the cornea. The wetting solution provide a cushioning effect, and because of that, irritation onto the cornea will be reduced. They may also include the viscosity enhancers such as the polyvinyl alcohol. They may also include the preservatives such as the benzalkonium chloride and adiated sodium. Buffering agents may also be added, and salts may be added to adjust the pH and the tonicity. So this is all about the ophthalmic preparations. Thank you very much.